likely going to be a surplus. I think the government will also find some way to return part of this surplus to the people.
Everyone thinks that it's all going to be carrots for this budget because it's a pre-election budget. Well, I'm not so sure.
So will it be goodies galore in Singapore's budget 2025? And what other measures can Singaporeans expect to help tackle key concerns like cost of living and job security?
Given that it's going to be likely a pre-election budget, and because SG60 celebrations are also ongoing, so there are fairly high hopes that it's going to be a generous budget.
This budget will also address the issues of cost of living and also enhance the upskilling for our workforce to remain competitive and relevant.
Adding to hopes for a generous budget, a likely bumper fiscal surplus for full year 2024. In the first 3 quarters of the year, operating revenue came in at 87.5 billion Singapore dollars. That's 81% of the full year forecast.
We should see a very nice fiscal surplus for budget 2024, and that basically lends itself to quite a fair bit of fiscal leeway to be quite generous for budget 2025 as well.
In SG50, we had a tax rebate. So in SG60, I think we can expect a tax rebate as well, given a higher surplus and higher tax revenue.
I think the government will also find some way to return part of this surplus to the people, and they do that in many different forms.
In 2024, 2 tranches of CDC vouchers amounting to $800 were given out to Singaporean households. And in January 2025, a further $300 worth of CDC vouchers were handed out. The aim is for lower-income families and larger households to get more support.
We can expect another tranche of CDC vouchers being announced in this budget, and possibly something a higher quantum compared to 2024, given that it's SG60. Yeah, the CDC vouchers, could also, can vary between family sizes. A family of 5 can get probably a higher CDC voucher compared to a family of 2.
From day-to-day expenditure, such as groceries and transport, to medical bills and even long-term caregiving responsibilities, experts say measures in Budget 2025 are likely to ease the squeeze for bigger families, especially those in the sandwich generation.
So healthcare costs, trying to rein in some of the increases in terms of the medical costs, especially for, I think, the public hospitals. I think that's going to continue to be one of the issues that the government will look at, not just within Budget 2025 alone, but basically to try and give some additional top-ups, I think, to the MediSave components for the elderly family members.
By 2030, it is projected that 1 in 4 Singaporeans will be aged 65 or older. That's double the proportion in just 15 years. Besides lowering medical costs and giving grants, analysts say more can be done for households with elderly family members.
Similar to the paternity leave was introduced many years ago as voluntary, then there's of course proposal to make it mandatory. At this point of time, there's really the elder care or parental care is something that is encouraged, but it's not many companies actually offer this. For this sandwich group of people, introducing some elder care, family care leave will really be useful for this group of individuals.
The support for caregivers, whether it's practical support in the form of maybe greater availability of respite care, or whether it's in the form of grants or even tax incentives. I think this will really help to alleviate the burden of caregiving, particularly for the sandwich group.
While the government has taken steps to keep early childhood education affordable in Singapore, economists say further subsidies would be welcomed for those with young families.
The one-time, top-ups to EduSave, definitely something that will really be useful for all families. I think what families are probably looking at, probably more sustained subsidies to support the ongoing costs of raising children. One example could be the childcare subsidies, whether they could increase the childcare subsidies to support young families with children going to attending nursery or kindergarten.
I think one particular group that will definitely be seeing something being sketched out in greater detail in this budget are the larger families. I think in particular those who are thinking of having a third child, as well as those with 3 or more children already, young children, and they would be receiving details of the further support for larger families that will be announced in this budget.
In the property space, HDB resale prices have been on the rise, while million-dollar HDB flat transactions continue to make headlines. At the same time, private property prices have also been edging up, albeit at a slower pace when compared with previous years.
So, do I expect cooling measures? Probably not in the immediate budget 2025. I think the stance for now probably is one where you will wait and see. The supply is catching up, so I do expect that there will be better supply-demand balance this year. So the question, of course, is that have we reached equilibrium yet? Not yet, but we're probably closer to it now.
If there are going to be any cooling measures, which are always a possibility, they need not be done within the budget. They could be off budget.
If you look at the previous budgets, then there's a lot of talk about wealth taxes, etc. And this time round, I think because of the adjustments in the annual value and the property tax bands, I think there's probably an absence of any concern about wealth taxes coming our way. Everyone thinks that it's all going to be carrots for this budget because it's a pre-election budget. Well, I'm not so sure.
In Budget 2024, Singaporeans aged 40 and above were given a $4,000 top-up of Skills Future credits to encourage mid-career workers to refresh their skills. One continuing challenge will be to help Singaporeans optimize such funds.
What we also need is a very dedicated career service where we match the need with the skills. Sometimes just putting a skills future and for people to just go take up any courses where there's a need, we identify individuals, use the skills future to kind of upskill their skills, and then so that they can benefit whoever the industry that requires the support or shortage of labour.
As well as addressing immediate cost of living concerns, Budget 2025 will also have to take into account longer-term investments, including in the corporate sector, workforce capabilities, as well as infrastructure.
Budget 2025 really has quite a high bar set for it because there are a lot of expectations that there will be measures to help Singaporeans with cost of living, and also on basically trying to address the job security, the transition to a green and digital economy, and also to help corporates cope with some of the changes that are coming out.